Simms Fishing Products sells the most trusted waders in the fly fishing industry. Its products are used by more than 8,500 sponsored fishing professionals. Its net sales grew at a compound annual rate of 15% between 2019 and 2021. Annual revenues exceeded $100 million. In 2022, one of the largest outdoor conglomerates in America paid $192.5 million to acquire it. It started with a man trying to keep gravel out of his boots. This is the full story of Simms. From a fishing guide in Jackson, Wyoming, tinkering with neoprene in 1980, to the first Gore-Tex wader ever built, to a 62,000 square foot factory in Bozeman, staffed by anglers who handcraft every pair, to the $192.5 million sale that moved the brand from family hands into a portfolio alongside Remington ammunition and Camelback. In the late 1970s, a fishing guide named John Simms was standing in a river in Jackson, Wyoming, and he was irritated. Not at the fish, not at the water, at his boots, river gravel, the small, relentless pebbles that accumulate inside wading boots during a day on the water had been a constant annoyance for fly fishermen since the sport began. It rubbed against the foot, caused blisters on long days, and was simply accepted as an unavoidable feature of wading. Every guide who spent 40 hours a week in the water knew the problem. Nobody had solved it. John Simms decided to solve it. He started experimenting with neoprene, a synthetic rubber developed in the 1930s, and by the late 1970s it was widely used in wetsuits, gaskets, and industrial sealing applications. Neoprene was dense, flexible, and waterproof. Simms began using it to build gravel guards, fitted sleeves that sealed the top of the wading boot against the ankle of the wader, preventing stones from entering. The guards worked. Other guides noticed. They asked for a pair. Then more guides asked. Simms understood immediately that he had found something larger than a gravel guard. If neoprene could seal a boot, it could seal a wader. The standard fishing wader of the 1970s was made from rubber or heavy canvas, waterproof but cold, stiff and exhausting to wear for a full day on the water. Neoprene offered something different: insulation. A neoprene wader would not just keep water out. It would keep the angler warm, trapping body heat in the same way a wetsuit keeps a diver warm. That meant longer days in cold water, earlier spring seasons, later fall seasons. For guides whose livelihood depended on keeping clients on the water as many months as possible, the difference was not a matter of comfort, it was a matter of income. In 1980, John Simms introduced the first neoprene chest waders to the American market. They were revolutionary. Within a short time, fishing guides across the American West were wearing them. The waders were warm and functional in ways that rubber and canvas had never been, extending the fishing season at both ends and transforming what a cold water day on the river felt like. Orders came in from Japan, from New Zealand, from South America. Guides and serious anglers in every fly fishing market in the world recognized what Simms had built. The company grew quickly, faster than John Simms wanted it to. He was a fishing guide and an inventor, not a businessman. He was, by his own account, happiest when he was solving a problem with a piece of material and the sewing machine, not managing inventory and payroll. When the company got large enough that running it was no longer the same as building it, he sold it. Simms Fishing Products passed to LifeLink International, another Jackson-based sporting goods company that had also been built by John Simms. LifeLink made ski patrol shovels and the Croaky sunglass holder. LifeLink moved the business to Bozeman in 1988, where it employed 15 people. For the next few years, Simms existed as a small, functional wader company with a strong product and a limited vision. It was making good neoprene waders. It was not becoming anything larger than that. In 1992, a man named Casey Walsh moved his family from Los Angeles to Bozeman, Montana. Walsh was a management consultant, the kind of career that exists in Los Angeles, not in southwest Montana. He was also a passionate fly fisherman, and the decision to move was not primarily a business decision. He wanted to be near the water. Bozeman sits at the edge of some of the most celebrated trout rivers in North America: the Gallatin, the Madison, the Yellowstone. For a serious angler, It was the center of the universe. Walsh arrived in Bozeman looking for a business to build. He found Simms. In 1993, K.C. Walsh acquired Simms Fishing Products from Lifelink and moved the operation fully into Bozeman. He was not a fishing industry veteran. He was a management consultant with deep experience in building organizations and a personal passion for the product he was now responsible for. Those two things, combined in one person, were exactly what Simms needed. His first decision confirmed both. Walsh knew that neoprene waders, for all their warmth, had a fundamental problem that no amount of engineering refinement could solve. They were wet inside. Neoprene is waterproof in both directions, so it keeps river water out, but it also keeps perspiration in. After a full day of wading, the inside of a neoprene wader was damp, clammy, and increasingly unpleasant. In warmer conditions, they were simply too hot. The insulation that made them valuable in cold November water made them miserable in cool September weather. The solution Walsh saw was breathable fabric, specifically a membrane technology that W.L. Gore and Associates had developed for outerwear under the name Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex fabric worked by embedding a microporous membrane between outer and inner fabric layers. The membrane contained billions of microscopic pores, each pore large enough to allow water vapor molecules to pass through, but small enough to block liquid water droplets. In a rain jacket, this meant you stayed dry from rain while perspiration escaped outward. In a wader, it would mean something unprecedented, a garment that kept river water completely out while actively passing the moisture of physical exertion to the outside. Nobody had built a wader from Gore-Tex. The material was used in outdoor clothing, in medical applications, in industrial gaskets. The idea of submerging it in a river for hours under significant hydrostatic pressure, the pressure of water pushing against the wader from outside, was a different engineering challenge entirely. Gore-Tex's immersion technology was a different membrane formulation than the one used in rain gear, specifically designed for sustained submersion. Walsh partnered directly with W.L. Gore and Associates to develop the application. In 1993, Simms released the first breathable Gore-Tex wader ever made. The fly fishing world had not seen anything like it. The new waders were lightweight, dramatically lighter than neoprene, and light enough to fold into a pack. They were completely waterproof under sustained immersion, and they breathed with perspiration moving outward through the membrane, keeping the angler dry on the inside while the river pushed against the outside. You could wade all day in September water and arrive at the bank dry on the inside. You could wear them in 50-degree weather without overheating. You could pull them on cold in the morning without the clammy interior that neoprene inflicted on every wearer from the first minute. The early Gore-Tex waders were not perfect. The original outer fabric was vulnerable to thorns and sharp branches, and a snag from streamside brush could punch a pinhole through the outer layer and compromise the membrane beneath. Simms worked through successive iterations, improving durability with each generation. The G3 guide, the G4, the G4Z, each represented a refinement of the core technology, adding layers of Gore-Tex membrane, improving seam taping and strengthening the material at the highest wear zones. The waders got better with every version. That continuous improvement cycle was only possible because the people refining the design were the same people fishing in the current version, noticing where it failed and fixing it. A writer for Fly Fisherman magazine would later describe the introduction of breathable waders as likely the most important tackle development in the last 50 years. That was not hyperbole. Within 5 years of the Simms Gore-Tex waders release, neoprene waders had effectively disappeared from serious fly fishing. A product category that had dominated the market for a decade was rendered obsolete in less time than it takes a child to finish primary school. Guides across the American West switched immediately. The Gallatin River, the Madison, the Henry's Fork, the San Juan. Every serious trout river in the country had guides wearing Simms waders within a few years of the product's launch. Word spread through the fly fishing community the way useful information always spreads among people who spend serious time outdoors. Directly, person to person, on the water, where performance is immediately visible and impossible to fake. A guide wearing Simms waders was a walking advertisement that no marketing budget could replicate. When a client asked what brand the guy trusted with his livelihood, the answer was immediate and credible in a way that no print ad could achieve. Simms formalized that relationship. The company built a network of more than 8,500 sponsored fishing professionals, including guides, outfitters, and competitive anglers, who used Simms products and whose daily use was the most rigorous product testing program in the industry. Not a laboratory, not a controlled environment. Cold rivers in November, saltwater flats in July, steelhead runs in the Pacific Northwest rain. Every condition that waders are ever asked to survive, tested by people whose professional reputation depended on the gear not failing. The factory in Bozeman grew, not by outsourcing, not by moving production offshore, but by hiring more people in Montana and building more manufacturing space in Bozeman. Walsh made a decision early that defined the company's identity for the next 3 decades. Simms waders would be made in America by anglers in Montana. The argument was not purely patriotic, it was practical. The people who designed and built the waders fished in them. They understood the product from the inside, literally and experientially. When a wader failed in the field, the person who had sewn it was often the same person who heard about the failure and worked out what had gone wrong. 22 people work on a single pair of Simms waders before it ships. Each finished wader is individually pressure tested for waterproofness before leaving the factory. Not sampled, not batch tested, every single pair. The factory floor in Bozeman operates with the precision of a technical manufacturing environment and the culture of a fishing shop. Meeting rooms named after fish species, mounted tarpon and marlin on the walls. Employees who spend their days off on the same rivers their waders are designed to handle. By the early 2000s, Simms had expanded well beyond waders. Wading boots were built with the same construction standards as the waders, and their soles were designed specifically for wet rock traction in different river conditions. Technical outerwear was engineered for the angler standing in wind and rain at 6 in the morning on a March river. Fishing shirts, pants, and base layers were designed for the specific demands of standing in moving water for 8 hours, where conventional outdoor clothing fails, because it was designed for people moving through the environment, not standing still in the middle of it. The fly fishing industry noticed. So did the broader outdoor retail market. Simms waders began winning industry awards with a consistency that eventually required a dedicated wall at the Bozeman headquarters to display them. The brand became the default answer to the question of what serious fly fishermen wear. Not as a result of advertising spend, but as a result of performance, credibility accumulated one pair of waders at a time, one guide at a time, one season at a time. The growth that followed was not accidental. Fly fishing participation in the United States had been expanding steadily for 2 decades. The sport that had once been the domain of older, wealthy men in Western states was growing across demographics, across regions, and across age groups. The release of Robert Redford's film adaptation of A River Runs Through It in 1992, the same year Walsh acquired Simms, had introduced fly fishing to a generation that had never held a rod. That cultural moment did not fade. It compounded as those new anglers became experienced anglers who introduced others, as social media made the imagery of fly fishing on Western rivers a recurring presence in outdoor culture, and as the broader American relationship with the natural world intensified after decades of expanding urbanization. In 2013, Simms consolidated its Bozeman manufacturing facilities into a single 62,000 square foot building. At the time, the company employed around 115 people in Montana. Products made domestically accounted for approximately 40% of company revenue. The rest of the product line, clothing and accessories, was sourced internationally, but the wader, the product that the company was built on and that defined its reputation, remained made in Bozeman by the wader makers. The growth that followed was not accidental. Fly fishing participation in the United States had been expanding steadily for 2 decades. The sport that had once been the domain of older, wealthy men in Western states was growing across demographics, across regions, and across age groups. The cultural presence of fly fishing in film, in social media, and in the broader conversation about the American West and its rivers was larger than it had ever been. Simms, positioned as the premium performance brand at the center of that culture, grew with it. Net sales compounded at 15% annually from 2019 to 2021. In July 2022, Vista Outdoor announced it had agreed to acquire Simms Fishing Products for $192.5 million. Vista Outdoor was, by that point, one of the largest outdoor conglomerates in the world. The parent company of 39 brands including Camelback, Bushnell, Bell, Giro, and Remington Ammunition, it was the kind of company that a smaller brand founder sells to when the growth opportunity requires capital and infrastructure beyond what a single owner can provide, and when the price offered reflects 40 years of building something real. K.C. Walsh, who had bought Simms from Lifelink for a fraction of that sum in 1993 and moved it from 15 employees in a rented space to a $100 million revenue business with 170 Bozeman employees and a 62,000 square foot factory, called the deal very positive for the company and its employees. He stayed on as a strategic advisor. Vista Outdoor placed Simms within its outdoor products segment and announced it would headquarter that segment in Bozeman, a decision that kept the brand's physical home intact even as its ownership moved to a Minnesota-based public company. Today, Simms Fishing Products operates from its Bozeman, Montana facility, which is in the process of expanding to 90,000 square feet. The company employs over 170 people. Its waders are still made in Montana, still individually pressure tested, still assembled by a team of anglers who fish the same rivers the product is designed for. On June 2nd, 2026, John Simms died at home in Jackson, Wyoming, surrounded by his family. He was 89 years old. The cause was a brain tumor. He had spent his final years painting, another form of problem solving, another way of looking at the world and trying to render it more clearly. He never ran the company that bears his name. He built the thing that made it possible, sold it when it got too big to interest him, and moved on to the next problem. The neoprene wader, the Lifelink ski shovel, the Avalanche Pro built from converted ski poles, collapsible tools for people in the backcountry. A man who spent his entire life asking what was missing and then making it. The gravel guard that John Simms built in Jackson, Wyoming, because river stones were ruining his day on the water, became the company that built the wader that changed fly fishing forever. He did not live to see it sold for $192.5 million. He did not need to. The rivers in Jackson Hole are still there. So are the waders.